This week in our KTU University and our Civil Engineering and Architecture faculty was an amazing event, International Architecture Summer School RE-TOPIA. So participants from almost all over the world, from 19 different countries, came to our university to try to understand the local environment.
So for me, Kaunas is, I'm an architectural historian, so for me Kaunas is particularly interesting because it represents this moment in the 20th century where urban environments were changing very rapidly and in many respects optimistically. Of course, there's a dark side to modernism, but in Kaunas you see the positive side, the optimistic side of building a new city, a new temporary capital, a new future. And I think in the 21st century there's a moment to reflect upon that, but most importantly to think about how we use that for the future, how we build sustainable cities, asking these big questions of urban transportation, urban resilience, dealing with climate change. And Kaunas seems to be at that moment now where it's asking these questions. Kaunas for us has been a real privilege to be involved with. But what we find particularly interesting is it's a very rich city architecturally and its urban form. These really intense layers of medieval, 19th century, modernist and even 21st century developments. So it's a perfect place to bring students to understand these complexities and these opportunities in the city and challenges of the 21st century like we've been seeing in Šančiai today. In previous summer schools, we've focused on the city centre or on resorts like Šančiai outside of the city. For us, Šančiai presents this sort of in-between space. This, it's not even like a suburb. This, where there's industrial, military, and residential complexes on the urban periphery, and that in itself lends itself to some really interesting observations and investigations. So for this summer school, we have our students looking at Šančiai as a territory from different perspectives and using their own observations. So today they've been out and about in groups, just trying to see the space and then learning from the community. Of course, that's quite a challenge. We've had community members join us today, which has been fantastic. And in particular for Šančiai as a specific site, again, because it's a slightly peripheral territory, often these questions, particularly for example with regards to climate change, to improving people's lives and lifestyles, it tends to be a place where those things are particularly pertinent and particularly evident. So you can see the community's response, for example, to municipal authority ideas, and that negotiation, that contestation is something that is important. In a healthy, democratic, civic society, it's very important to have those debates and the space for those conversations to happen. So for us to come in for a few days, observe those conversations and participate is a real privilege. But the summer school is about learning from their own experience, walking the streets, observing the built environment, the natural environment. And we want them to map this themselves. So they're going to be doing collective drawings together from their experiences.
But within that, it's also from many different countries, as far afield as Nicaragua, Ukraine, some obviously British and Lithuanian students. So the goal was to stitch together the students to have some kind of common working practices and learnings, but also understand how this community of Šančiai was working to come together as well and stitch collaboration and participation, co-working, co-creation, and common activities. How the students navigated the cultural and language barriers, and how they actually used those differences to benefit their work. So it was very enriching because they all come with their own experiences, but now they have a shared singular experience.
Didn't know what our conclusion was going to be. We didn't know what the outcome of this research and this experiments we did with architectures and models was going to turn out. So I think the most difficult, but definitely the most enjoyable, was not knowing where it was going to end, what we wanted to end, what we wanted to be our conclusion. but being able to enjoy just learning so much from different parts of architecture, residents, the city, the food, definitely. And then after having so much information, being able to take the parts of them that we wanted to put in our conclusion, for example, our group, in the harmony between old and new. There's so many ways about talking about it, approaching it, and that was the hardest part, how to demonstrate what we wanted to transmit after learning what we've learned in Kaunas.
To be fair, I was surprised every day because I did not know what is the end product in each day. Each day was a different type of workshop, and in the end what I achieved was like completely different to what I predicted it would be.
I would say maybe to put everything to one single model, that was a challenge for me, because all the time I worked on my scope, on my work, and then during the process of collaborating and adding everything to the final model, that was a bit, that maybe my part came to the other grid part and complemented it. And at the end, I was very happy to see how everything came out.
What was definitely the most interesting was able to see architecture changing through time and how it changes in the different parts of the cities, because Kaunas is a very good instrument outlining the different architecture styles in time. So I would say that being able to walk Šančiai and meet residents, which was, I think, the most unique experience. We were very fortunate to get invited into a Lithuanian's house and see how they live, how the houses are from the inside, and what is the most important part of the city for them, and then be able to see the different parts of architecture that are in Šančiai and end up in the beautiful riverside for a delicious picnic.
Different type of architecture, each people trying to be together in the same place, because I found out in for example, Šileni, and as an example, people try to go away from the main region, but in this case, as everyone is there in the lower Šančiai trying to be together, and also still the lifestyles, I think that it shows kind of, you could understand the typical lifestyles of Lithuanian, that you could not see in the center. If you go center, everyone lives in apartment, you don't really see through the yard or something like that. So I think that it changed my point of view in understanding what people do in a household, I would say.
Each day of exploring Šančiai was very different, I'd say. And each day we have to do small tasks. So I was expecting that they kind of correlate at the end, At the end, it maybe changed my mind. Yeah, I really enjoyed how drawing can connect all the people together. And even different styles of collaging, of modeling can be connected,
Yeah, the final model was interesting because we really wanted to get a sense of place, get the students to understand the locality of Šančiai and working within Kaunas in Lithuania. So it really incorporates some traditional fabrics and ribbons from the country, as well as their own imagination and experience of the place. So it is at the same time a record, but also an imagined future and the possibilities of the community.
Very, very important for the architect's profession, and not only architects, sociologists as well, and urban designers, because it gives a sense, how you can work in the team, where the members of your team might be from totally different environment, and you all need to come together and to understand how this place, which you at the beginning are not familiar at all those things, to find, the common points between all those different perspectives.
The different methods the summer school uses for you to delve into architecture gives you the most unique experience, and it just makes it easier to learn and to analyze.
I think that it's a good escape from what you're learning during the semester. It's completely a different type of workshop. I think it's also about experiencing life instead of just sitting and doing project or just listening to presentation in classes. And also it's about making new friends and new connections.
First of all, that I can meet people like live, eye to eye, and I enjoyed it a lot. And the result was very different. And we have a big collage model which shows each kind of point of research. And yeah, I think the strongest point is communicating and the process of making. Yeah, I think it's very worth as a practice of researching the